Welcome back, everyone, to Button Mash Season 1, Episode 8. That's right, Season 1 has lasted 3 years long. I am here today with Forrest Hoffman. He is an engineer for an online IDE called Coder.com. Forrest, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. How's it going?
Good, good. So, tell me, what is Coder.com?
So so Coder.com is an IDE that is powered by the cloud. So we provide a full IDE with support for 15 different languages. Um, we're continuing to add support for others. We have a list of all of that on our homepage, and we have some premium services in addition to some free ones that right now you have, I believe it's 3 gigs of hard drive space, as well as 2 gigs of RAM for your own personalized container that you can run multiple projects on, just like you would your local machine. And then we have our premium service called Fast Time, which you can use to improve basically the speed of everything on your container and how you interact with the IDE, your network speed, your disk I/O, everything like that.
Oh, that's very cool. So,
Mhm.
are there also like different packages then for specifications, like you get more RAM or you get allocated more cores on that?
Yeah. So we have, I believe we're gonna have billing info rolling out soon. Um, I'm not in charge of that, so don't take my word as law right now. But we have our premium tier. We're gonna have a tiered system, and our premium tier is gonna be 10 gigs and 10 gigs of hard drive space and 10 hours of fast time.
Okay.
And that is going to be $4.99 a month.
Oh,
And
okay.
then we're gonna have several tiers going on up, and then enterprise level as well. But our free tier is just 2 gigs of disk space, 2 hours of fast time for everybody. And then you can also do piecemeal purchases. So if you wanted to get an extra gig of disk space, you could just buy that for $1.
Okay.
Um, and all those prices are subject to change, so
Of
we'll see
course.
how that goes.
So, tell me about yourself. Now, I know you are an engineer, but tell me your position at Coder.
So right now, my position is it's kind of fluid right now. I'm doing multiple different things. I started out working only on the back end, and then I've since shifted over to doing quality assurance, and then started interacting with, um, started working on video production. So actually writing tutorials for people to follow along inside of Coder, and really showing off what Coder can do. And so kind of we're laying the groundwork for more advanced stuff. We're gonna get into some maybe some Go code and working with a bunch of different languages. Um, and so it's twofold, because I can write these tutorials as user education,
Mhm.
which is awesome, and then I'm also having to use the IDE as I'm recording, so I'm also doing user testing at the same time.
Right.
So it's multifaceted. It's a lot of fun.
Does it ever feel a little bit meta that you're using IDEs to make IDEs?
We haven't. I don't think we have yet hosted an internal service on Coder. We're not yet to that point where we're writing Coder inside of Coder,
Okay.
but it's not. I don't think it's far away. I think it's definitely something that we want to do. Like that'll when we do that, that'll be a big celebratory thing where it's like, hey, we're using Coder to write Coder. That'll be a lot of
So,
fun. I
oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
No, no, no. Please, you finish.
No, I was done.
So does Coder have its own compiler built in? Like, did you guys build the compiler for Coder, or did you use another compiler for it?
So we have a lot of different language servers. I believe we're using either a variant or um, copy of VS Code's. They have an open source compiler
Okay.
that you can use. So we're using that one. I think it's one of them is for JavaScript. I think it's called Emmet.
Mm.
Like we might be using that for um, linting and all the different auto completion and stuff like that.
Ah, that's very cool.
Yeah,
So,
so a lot of different linters and a lot of different language servers going on.
right. So you said that you were making tutorial videos.
Hmm.
I have made hundreds of tutorial videos based on anything you can imagine. Be honest with me. How much does it suck just some days having to like constantly redo takes? It's like great. The flow of this was perfect until that one flub at that one point, and now we have to restart the whole thing.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, I sometimes get frustrated with myself when I do that, but you just gotta kind of just take a breath and keep going with it. I'll usually find that when I watch back those clips, that there's usually something else in there that I might want to redo anyway.
Mhm.
So it's still each take is a learning experience. And I think probably the most frustrating thing is when I haven't drank enough water and I'll be either parched or have like cotton mouth and
Yeah.
I'll stutter or something like that. That is the most annoying thing in the universe.
So you're making video tutorials, right?
Hmm.
So which stage in like video tutorial development are you? Are you still at the I record everything and talk at same time phase? Or are you at I think about it through my head, record the B-roll I think I need, talk, and then edit the whole two together and just kind of like cut and splice? Like which stage have you hit yet? Because I will openly
Um,
admit, and I'm not going to admit fully, but I was at stage one way longer than I should have been.
right now, I just do them in real time. So when you hear me talking, I'm actually I'm doing both at the same time. Um, I think I don't know. I like the flow. It's
Mhm.
kind of how this is kind of how I talk in general. So to me, it feels more natural, and that's the experience I'm trying to give, a more natural, like I'm talking to a coworker, talking to a colleague,
Right.
and not like I'm you know a educator somehow elevated above the people that are consuming the video.
Mhm.
um so I like the style. Obviously it's going to evolve. I feel like the CSS tutorial series that we just finished, that's now going up, I think we put 2 episodes up last night. I feel like that is much more fluid than the Git tutorial series, which was the first one he made.
Right.
So it's definitely um, growing or improving.
See,
I
like
don't
that's the
know
thing.
if I'll get to that point yet.
I did the whole talk and work at the exact, and I did that for forever. I only switched off like a month ago from that style. I love that style. That style is it's so easy to edit with because it's
Yeah,
literally time in the countdown. Great, cut it there. The rest of it's fine. Like it's like the editing wise, you couldn't hope for anything better. It just works itself out. The only thing I
yeah, you
hate
don't have
about
to
it
line
was
anything up.
like once again, if you flubbed up something, it's like, oh, great. I have to
Yeah,
go reshoot that whole section, or now I have to do the whole record something and get the B-roll if I need the B-roll kind of deal. But
yeah.
yeah, it's a great way. And your YouTube channel is what, coder.tv or coder.com?
I think it's Coder HQ
Coder
is
HQ.
what our YouTube is.
I'll make
YouTube is
sure
called.
that the link is in the description box down below.
Thank you, thank you.
So, who had the idea for Coder?
That would be John Andrew Entwistle, our CEO.
Okay.
I think I was trying prior to this. I was trying to find the link to the blog post that he had made explaining the story or the where the idea came from, and he took it down because he wants to polish it up a bit. But uh, what I remember is I think it was like one night at like 3 a.m. He just decides to text 2 of his friends. He's like, "Hey guys, I have an idea," and then they just decided to go with it. They were
There you
super
go.
excited about it. So yeah, so I don't remember all the details, but I'm sure we're gonna have a very fun story. He's a really good storyteller, so I'm excited to read the what he comes up with there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think Coder is great. Now, Coder is a cloud-based IDE, as we touched on earlier. Uh, there is like other other cloud-based IDEs in this space. So what does make Coder like separate from the competition? Like what distinguishes you guys? Because as we all know, like the subscription model is what just everyone moves to nowadays. So it's like anywhere you go, you're almost guaranteed to see a subscription model of some variety. So what makes we touched on the specs and all that, but like outside of your package of increased performance in increased compile time or decreased compile time, that is, what else makes what does make Coder separate from other cloud-based IDs?
So our focus is to allow everybody to code on pretty much any device. So I think right now a majority of our users are actually on mobile. They're using their phones or tablets. Yeah. Which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
To have all these people trying to code on their phones. Excuse me. So it's even more important now to have a platform that can function when you don't have the hardware.
Right.
So that's our focus, is to provide insane performance pretty on every device.
That is fantastic.
Yeah. And we're allowing people, we're giving the free tier so that you don't need, if you don't need that extra, CPU power or disk space or whatever, you're just trying to run a small project, you can hop on that for free and collaborate with your friends or your teammates. If you're working on a small project, then by all means hop on there. All of those features are available. It's when you need that extra oomph from the cloud that when you're
making like real programs, not like school. It's not your school project.
Right.
When you're making programs that matter.
Right. If you're making an intense compilation, that's when you need that extra power. But if you're doing basic web development, you don't need that.
I'm glad you brought up the collab feature, because this is what really kind of put me on the direction of Coder. So we were talking off air, and I originally found out about Coder through Dylan. I think it's Israel.
I think it's Israel as well.
Yeah. And he's a developer on YouTube. His is also in the description box down below. And he was showing off, and I admit I didn't even see the whole video. The whole video was like a little bit of length. But I saw him say you can even collab with your friends, and that was it. I like closed the video and I immediately went to Coder to check it out, because here's the thing.
Very cool.
I'm in school for computer information systems. We have to work in groups, and a collab and pair programming is one of those things that I love it, but it is so hard to find a good system to let you do it. Like, we worked on Eclipse for Java. The Eclipse pair programming is touch and go on the best of days. It is like bouncing an egg on a pixie stick. Then I moved to Visual Studio Code. It's only in preview. It's like a preview add-on. It works better, but still a little bit more touchy than I would like it to be. Like, if the person on the other end of the remote connection attempts to run the live server, the whole thing crashes.
Really?
Yes, it's a train wreck and a half. Like, when you start trying to do advanced things.
Yeah.
So then I found CodePen, which I know is one of your guys' main competition sources, or at least I think it is. I'm not experienced in the IDE space, in the cloud IDE space. I know 3, okay? So there's more. I have no idea who they are. But okay. I found them, and that's where this first idea of cloud-based collaboration kind of crossed my path. And they were at an immense cost. $130 a year, Canadian, which is $99, but you can only have 2 collaborators. And then I found And then I found coder.com, and you guys have just opened up collaboration to anyone. No paywall, no nothing. and you didn't even lock the collaboration at like a low tier. Like you've put it at just an insanely high number. Like more collaborators than would feasibly be working on a single project unless you're like Google.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't have 100 people working on the same file. Probably
Right.
probably not a good idea, but yeah, you could do it.
So how many people can be working on a project before like you kind of hit capacity?
I do not know. I don't have an exact number for that, but um, in testing, I think I myself probably using clones of my own account, um, probably got around like 50
Wow.
um, editing the same project. Yeah, I don't have any hard numbers, but you
No,
can you
that's
can have more than is reasonable.
yeah. I was gonna say even at 50, it's like you really should not have 50 people on a project.
Yeah,
If
it's
you
like you
have
need to
50
break
people
that
on a
up.
project, you have screwed up like so much earlier in the process before you even hit the IDE stage.
That's a management problem.
Yeah, right.
If you get 50 people working on the same thing. Yeah.
Speaking of management though, how big is the coder team? I saw some like blog pictures that you guys have. I was just trying to get a scope of how many people are like here currently.
I think right now we have, I think it's like 25 uh or more people in the office.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the front end team, I think we have, let's see. Mm, 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 mm. I think we have 6 engineers on the front end team, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we have 5 engineers on the back end.
Okay. Wow. So
Hmm.
that's a pretty healthy sized team there.
And we're growing pretty quick, so that number's gonna change.
That's
But
awesome
yeah.
though. Like that's great news because what I loved about Coder and the reason why I did the reach out for this interview and everything was because of the fact that you guys made things so accessible to not only professionals but to also like the student level people. And was that a market you guys even like looked at, or did you just happen to like stumble into this will work out great for educational purposes?
Um, I don't know if there was a strict decision on that, but that's actually it's good. A good thing you brought that up as far as education goes. That's actually why I applied, is because I spent about 6 years in education.
Okay.
So working with teachers from around the world as well as being a computer science tutor. So I got a healthy amount of feedback from both teachers and students as to the difficulties of starting to learn in the computer science world.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those things is collaboration and setup. Those are the two biggest problems, is for teachers to be able to work with the students or have students work with them, each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then the setup and configuration. That's always the biggest problem, is people would come to me and be like, how do I install Apache, or how do I install Java, or how do I get this to compile, or how do I all the extra steps before they even start writing any code. And the awesome thing about Coder is that we've removed that need. You just open a file, it instantly installs everything, and then you just start coding.
Yeah,
So
and that's just so you guys currently you support basically all the web languages right now,
I believe so. Yes.
or all the
I
primary
think C.
ones.
Yes, I think C# is partially supported.
Is it okay?
Or it may have been updated. I haven't looked at it recently.
Yeah. See, when I found it, I think it said like 8 languages supported. So it's like I was already blown away at that stage. I'm like, that's great. Like 8 languages,
Yeah.
more than likely for like any good company, you probably like went right to the main one. So perfect. Everything I need out of Coder's probably already there.
Yep.
So you say you worked in education? So you were like a teacher before you came to Coder?
I worked for actually my old digital arts teacher in high school for about 5 years, and I developed the platform as a WordPress plugin. Actually, believe it or not, yeah, yeah. It was a WordPress plugin that ran his classroom, as well as I think we had like 180 teachers internationally.
Wow.
Yeah, so each of those, if they had about, some had 150, depending on the school size, some had 150 students, some had 400 students. So they're always, to always get feedback or feature requests or things like that. So I had a good amount of experience talking to teachers and just kind of like hearing their requests and them relaying their students' needs.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a good bit of experience that I think was very valuable.
Have you guys done a big push in the education sphere with Coder yet? Like, have you been trying to show it to like major universities or anyone like that?
I don't know. I don't know if that may be in the pipeline. I'm not sure. Um, that's not really in my department,
No, that's right.
but
I'm curious because
yeah,
I know like I go back to university in about 3 weeks. The next September term resumes, and with the Web 2 coming class, it's the JavaScript class, and
right.
you have to do collab projects. I have every intention to move all of my friends onto this to not have to deal with the whole like let's pass this file around and hope that we all have the
Okay.
same version at some
Let's
point.
use Dropbox to send this file back and forth, or well, let's just email it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh gosh, I've I've had that happen. They just email it to me. Never again.
Though it, I'd like to say I moved to email, but no, we were instead just passing stuff through Discord.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And when you don't pin it to the top, it tends to
It's
get
gone.
lost pretty quick.
Yeah.
So that's why I do love this concept. And now you guys have recently just moved into an open beta or alpha?
Yeah, public alpha.
Public alpha. Okay.
So we've opened it up so that you can just sign up at coder.com and just log in as you normally would. You can use your Google authentication if you'd like, or you can go the old school route and provide email and a phone number for verification.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can just start using Coder. There's no more requesting of keys.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so that's exciting.
So how long were you guys in this in this keyed alpha stage?
I think it was about a month.
Oh, okay.
I think it may have been a little bit less, but about a month. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a very short time for one of these kind of things. So it's good to see you guys are moving incredibly fast like through this process.
Yeah, we're trying to get as much feedback as we can because we want to make it as good as possible,
Oh
and we
yeah.
want people to enjoy using it. So feedback is key.
So are you guys gonna have like any community support kind of deals, like where the community can create like I don't know like themes or overlays for Coder?
That's an interesting idea. I may actually hold on one second. If you don't mind, I'm just gonna steal that idea.
Yeah, go for it. I can't be mad. Lord knows I do it to my community all the time.
Yeah, just pluck the thoughts from your head. Cool. Many themes. That's a good idea. We do plan to sometime in the future to add support for various plugins, and I'm not sure there we have a theme customizer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't checked it recently. I haven't tested it recently, so I'm not sure if that's in or not. But there was some design development for a actual theme customizer where you can change individual aspects of one of the presets.
Okay.
Even though we have a lot of presets that you can choose from, you could go even further because I know, like, if you're like me, you like customizing the heck out of everything. So,
Yeah.
That'll definitely be something to look forward to if we
Like
end up
I'm definitely
implementing
one
that.
of the people who likes to have like I have my Visual Studio Code here, and it basically looks like a bowl of Skittles like threw up on the page. Like
Oh, that's great.
I love the candy coated look.
Oh yeah.
So
Very cool.
I'm looking at at coder.com right now, and the collab feature. Now, when I was testing this out with my friend last week, we saw that the collab invite feature was all email based, which at no point was explained to any of us. So we all had to figure this out. Is that gonna be
Gotcha.
like when you send in a collab invite? Is that gonna like pop up now at some point through the web page, or is that always gonna be an email like invite link kind of deal?
I think for right now it is, but I believe very soon it's going to also provide a notification in the IDE itself,
Great.
because that is much more user friendly. So we do want to implement that. I believe that is a definite thing that's coming.
Okay, yeah, because I can just tell you from like when we were working with it, it's like I sent you an invite. Did you get it? No. I sent you an invite. Did you get it? No. It's like, oh, it's in the email. Okay, let's.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll be figuring that out soon, and then that'll be much smoother. We'll have to be constantly checking different tabs.
Yeah, no,
All
that would
be
be
all in one.
fantastic. But I do love the fact that like the fact that I can just bring people in on a project. And are you able to hook up your own like private stuff to Coder? Like, can I put in a like if I have a home web server, can I plug in the URL and just like be able to run my code through there?
Are you talking about using Coder as a VPN?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
I believe on our FAQ we have a little bit more detail as far as the plans for the VPNs or kind of using Coder in that way. I do believe that's actually a planned feature. Right now, I don't believe you can do that. Not in this sense. But it's definitely a planned thing. It'll maybe be tied into one of our tiers,
Okay.
but that's still being worked out. So that's
Oh yeah, no, for sure. It's just once again, just one of these things. Like you're always just kind of curious about like because there's
for sure.
like in any good business. Did I just tear my shirt? I just tore my shirt.
Oh, it's a shame.
Yeah.
Look, it's a nice shirt.
It was a
What'd you do
nice
that
shirt. It's funny too because now I know how Lou Ferrigno feels. Not gonna lie. While I just tore a nice shirt, nothing feels better than when your arms are too big for your clothes.
Little brother has that problem.
But what was I talking about? I like
Talking
totally.
about
I totally.
you're talking about VPNs
Yeah.
using Coder.
Oh yeah. No, like any good business, you have to strike that balance of what can you give away, what needs to be a premium feature. Believe me,
Yeah, for sure.
I have this discussion at least twice a week with like other companies. It's a whole deal of like, we want to give this away for free. You really shouldn't.
Yeah. So yeah, you have to weigh that like what's feasible, and if you're going to provide this service, then how can you best cater to that.
Oh yeah.
I know there was before the show we were talking about streaming services like Twitch and YouTube. I know there was a company that was I'm not going to call them out, but you could probably guess who they are, I guess. That was handling they made a Twitch extension for loyalty rewards, and they just crashed and burned because they didn't have any kind of model to handle. I guess they didn't think that their user base would be so insanely large, as in the entirety of Twitch. So they had no revenue, so they had to shut down, which was really sad to see because they had a pretty good feature set.
Right.
But yeah, you have to strike that balance, just like you said.
Oh yeah, always. It's one of those things. If you don't keep that focus, it can get away from you so fast. Because
Yeah,
just like with memes and popular culture, you just never know what's gonna hit. And sometimes if you hit something, you hit it way better than you ever hoped. So what do you guys do then at Coder when you're not like working on the software? Is there like a movie night you guys do?
I mean, there are some like, we'll mess with each other sometimes. There are various like knickknacks in the office that we mess around with. I think a couple of us have fidget spinners. We'll mess around with those. I think on our Instagram we put a video of us with a fidget spinner and air canister, making it go really fast.
Nice.
So I mean, mildly dangerous, but um, but back when I was hired, or just before I was hired, excuse me, we had a couple cool events where we actually went to. I don't know if you know what Topgolf is.
Never heard of it.
Basically, it is a multi-tier golf course. So they have like a large building, and it's also doubles as they provide food and drinks and stuff like that. And it's just a gated off golf course that has multiple like different pockets in it, and they gamified it. So you shoot into the different pockets to get points, and then you keep it's
That's
just a driving
awesome.
range basically,
That's
and you
awesome.
get yeah. So you just keep smacking those and see who can hit the far back. You can actually hit the all the way at the back net, which is like a couple hundred or a couple dozen meters.
Did you ever get there?
So it's I think I may have by accident once, but then one of our engineers was just going ham, and he got one or two, I think.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a little tough to hit, but if you can get the angle right, because you have to angle it right, because it's going to get that spin on the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. We also did a D&D night, which was kind of crazy.
See, that's what I was waiting for right there.
Dungeons and Dragons.
It's like, there it is.
Yeah. We had a big Dungeons and Dragons game, or multiple games actually. I think we had 1, 2, 3, 4. It was like 6 D&D groups, all playing at the same time, and their stories were related.
Whoa.
So we had 6 DMs, and they all collaborated to be like, okay, this is the world that we're in, this is the story, and then each group is slightly different.
And do you guys live stream that?
We did not. It was the first time that a couple of us, including our CEO, had even done D&D. And it was actually I'm going to take credit for that, because I was at a dinner meeting or whatever, and one of the other employees mentioned, I think I was wearing a Critical Role shirt actually.
Oh yes.
D&D show. Mentioned something, and then we started talking about D&D, and then everybody else around us was like, what's D&D? What is this? It sounds interesting. And then we explained it, and then everybody else is like, oh my god, we have to do a D&D night. And so then I'm like, all right, everybody's getting super excited, like, just calm, we'll be okay. Yeah. So it ended up turning out really, really well. Everybody had a lot of fun. So that was really cool to see, as somebody who's played D&D before, to see all these new people like super excited to play.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, never done a D&D in my life.
Oh yeah.
Never.
Have you watched any?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things. It started off as I like to track every big thing on Twitch, so I started watching it, and then I'm like, I'm gonna stop tracking this and just start watching it. This is great. Every Thursday night, Critical Role. It's like every Thursday night is Boneless Wing Night at Buffalo Wild Wings in Critical Role. That is the plan.
There you go. Yeah. I did that for quite a while. I haven't kept up to date, but yeah, we do cool stuff like that. Recently we've just kind of been nose the grindstone.
Yeah.
Getting stuff done. So we haven't really had any team events per se, but there's been shenanigans for sure.
That's good. Yeah. So you and I were talking off air though. Now this is a little bit away from coder, more like developer kind of point of view. But we were talking about like these super late nights you don't have to put in, but you're asked to put in.
Yeah.
Now, from what I can gather from every developer I've ever talked to, this is a more common thing. than one would like to admit. Is that right?
Um, yeah, I would say so. If you have a team that's, you have some critical members, no critical role puns there.
Right.
If you have some critical members of the team and something goes wrong and user are expecting things to be up and working, then you have to spend that time and
Right.
get whatever it is done. So it's kind of a necessity thing, but everybody knows that that's not productive or conducive in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a, if it's needed, then you pull that trigger. But yeah, it's a thing, unfortunately.
See, it's funny because I came from the medical space, and depending on what part of the medical space you're in, it's like you could almost be guaranteed when you start working in this field, somebody's going to ask you for like the small little things, not like a mission critical thing, but it's like, hey, like your boss will be like, hey, I'd really like to get this done today. Can you put extra hours in? And you're almost guaranteed to get a bunch of these like when you first start out before you learn to say no.
Yeah.
Before you learn to say, it's 3 a.m., I want to go to bed.
Gotcha, man.
Yeah, no, I'm always curious to see how other people handle that too, because I'm not versed enough in this facet of this field. Well, lights just go out there.
Yeah, my computer decided to fall asleep, so that's great. Very
Mac,
exciting.
right? Oh, speaking of Macs, what did you think of that $7,000 computer? The i9.
$7,000?
Yeah.
Oh, I have not seen it.
Oh yeah, no, Mac has that new $7,000 MacBook or whatever it's called.
3,000 is bad enough, but 7,000?
It has a 4 terabyte SSD.
Why do you even need it? And you probably can't remove it, can you?
Of course not.
Yeah, why would you be able to hot swap that out?
The 4 terabyte SSD costs as much as like a high-end laptop. I mean, a very high-end laptop.
That is ridiculous. Yeah, no.
What is the primary computer that you guys? What's the primary brand? Are you guys PCs or Mac or?
I think we have a good mix. Actually, I think we have maybe one. Actually, I don't know if we have anybody using Windows anymore. I think everybody's Mac or Linux. I know that one of our senior engineers is a big fan of Arch, so he's been using that pretty hardcore. And then we have a couple on Ubuntu, and I think somebody might be on. No, I think somebody might be on Red Hat. I'm not sure, but
okay.
We have a good mix. We have a good mix of Mac and Linux, because Unix just makes everything easier.
Right.
Yeah, and plus our containers are currently Ubuntu Linux. So
there's one thing I want to go over here. I don't know how I'm going to show you this. But I found it in one of the folders that was sent over to me just to kind of learn up on the company. You guys have a memes folder.
Oh, do we?
You have a memes folder.
I did not know this.
And I need to know who came up with some of these memes. You'll see them. You will see them when you see the archive of this show. But like you have this bad boy can fit so many projects into.
Oh god. That would be our logistics fellow Justin.
Like
yeah, we made some pretty good ones. We were throwing them back and forth. There are a couple of us that are pretty sarcastic and goofy, so we came up with some pretty good memes.
Yeah, I'm looking through them and it's like you can't help but giggle at some of these.
Yeah. Some of them are just like, some of them are so bad that you're just like, oh.
And that's just it. Right. You get to that point of some of them are so bad but so good. Like it's good because it's bad.
Yeah, it's like a bad movie that you go and watch anyway because it's so bad. You want to see the train wreck.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So you moved from your old location to this location to work with Coder.
Correct.
Did you for a development like side, like for a programmer side, is there anything that's really different, like culture wise, one way or the other? Because I know like
Um,
Silicon Valley has like its one way of doing things, and you kind of move
yeah.
to like the complete opposite side of that spectrum.
Yeah, definitely. I would say there isn't a huge culture shift. Um, but is I do enjoy having to come into the office. Like I don't know, a lot of people, a lot of my coworkers think differently, but it's like, a lot of them are like, I want the shortest possible distance from work so I don't have to waste a bunch of time getting to work. But for me, I like having a, an okay drive to work. It's kind of like that mental buildup,
Right.
and then when I leave, there's a mental build down. So it's, I don't know, it's kind of nice. And then being in the office, if you have a question, you can usually more effectively communicate with somebody in person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Unless they're in the zone or something like that. And then we use Slack and Discord pretty heavily. So any kind of communication that needs to occur, if somebody's like got their headphones on and looks like they're super focused, you leave them alone.
Yes. Yes. Always.
Yeah, yeah. 15-minute rule is in effect. You just you we try to make communication as efficient as possible, but being in the office is really nice because you're surrounded by people, unless you're in the recording studio, in which case you're in like a cage.
I do
And then
want
I
to
come out for
I
air
do
every
want to
once in a
mention
while.
that I mentioned this off air, but I want to bring this out publicly. It is great that you have a real microphone. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. Like as the interviewer and the person on the other side of the headphones, it is just really nice. It's like great.
Well,
I don't,
yeah.
because all I'm thinking about is when I go to edit this show, I don't have to boost volumes. I don't have to decrease volumes. Everything works itself out. It's kind of like
Yeah.
the whole we shot the video and the audio at the same time, and zero
Yeah.
work now has to be done.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that.
Sure
But
thing. Yeah, you have a pretty good microphone as well. I don't know if this one's on par with that one. It looks very, very expensive and sounds very expensive. So
that's because it is very expensive. Trust me, this was like a car payment.
oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah. And remember, I pay for everything in Canadian, so it was like a car and a house payment at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta ask you, are you a big gamer?
Yeah. I've grown up playing games and play games with my family and friends, so definitely.
Yeah. So, did you ever make any of your own games?
Um, I tried game development for a little bit in high school. I didn't really stick with it. Funny enough, I was using Unity a whole, and that's actually where I really learned to write JavaScript,
Really?
which is a little weird, but yeah, Unity script is what I was writing, and then somebody asked me to do a website, and so I did that because I knew a little bit of HTML and CSS, and then I discovered web development was so much more fun. So then I just kind of went into that, and that became my focus. So I never really, created my own games to the extent where there's something I would want to show my family. And be like,
Right.
hey guys, I made this thing. Nah.
Will Coder ever have the ability for like people to make like basic basic game or basic graphical like elements if they decide to make a game in Coder?
I think it would depend on the platform. If you were writing something like, say you were using Pygame or something like that, or you used some kind of web interface, if you were doing it through a browser,
Mm.
then right now you could do that. Um, but if you're trying to if you're talking about, you know, Crisis 3 graphics using DirectX 11, I that's not currently a thing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just because just feel like technically, like you're on a web browser. It's not that's not the the power. The power isn't in graphical CPU. It's in actual cores and CPU. So I don't know if that's a planned feature. I think that would definitely be really cool to see, but I don't know where that is or if that's even on the table.
Right. And
I don't
earlier
know.
you mentioned you have Slack, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have you ever done the calling feature with Slack?
Um, yes, and I don't like to.
Okay,
'Cause it's
that
terrible.
that is totally fair because it is awful.
Yeah.
Like I know people will constantly tell me they're like Slack is like Discord. Yes, except Discord was designed for the sheer purpose of voice communication.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's actually pretty good quality. Whereas Slack, it's just bad. It's just
Exactly.
bad.
But
It's
they
like Skype and TeamSpeak. Like just
but they do have one feature though that I
Mhm.
do like about it, and what I would actually like to see included with Coder if it was ever possible, and that is the ability to draw on the screen while you're talking to somebody.
Oh,
You can like
interesting.
circle stuff or or like underline stuff, and that is something I actually would love to see because while trying to track somebody's cursor is doable, that is
Mhm.
just it's harder for them to kind of get their point across rather than just like circle be
Interesting.
like you need to fix this part here.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I don't know that anybody's mentioned that before. I didn't actually know that was a feature in Slack.
Yeah, if you ever do a call in Slack, you can draw on the screen and everyone else can see what you're drawing.
Interesting. And does it fade after a second?
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, that would be a very interesting feature to see. It may get out of hand depending on how collaborators you have looking at a view.
Once again,
But
if you have so many collaborators that this is becoming a problem, you have too many collaborators.
that's yeah,
This comes right back to that whole if you have to worry about if you're hitting the limit on Coder for the collab limit, you have too many
yeah,
people.
yeah, basically, yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, that's just some of the things I noticed like just in my brief time in my 7 days working with the IDE. You know, it was like these are some really cool features and some more cool features could definitely come.
For sure. We have a feature requests repository on GitHub, and you can also drop it in our Discord if you'd like to um, request that. I'll definitely bring it up, but it would be more impactful if we had a user actually
Oh, absolutely.
request that. Yeah. So if you do that through either Discord or through GitHub,
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
And I will drop both of those also in the description box down below.
Awesome. Yeah. And maybe some other people will jump on it too.
Yes,
Give it
I
some thumbs
encourage,
up.
especially now since you don't need keys, I encourage anyone, whether you're just new to programming, experienced, if you're not doing game development, pop on and just give it a shot because it is really nice to have a not a web-based IDE, but it's nice to have an IDE that you can just take anywhere. And once it,
Yeah.
like you said, like your biggest users are mobile or you know what are essentially underpowered devices.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
where that
Devices that
doesn't
don't
matter.
have $7,000 worth of power.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
great for that. So if you're just getting started or anything, I advise anyone to come and at least just take a look at it. And while it is currently in alpha, there is a lot of development going on like all the time. And
Yep,
what is
very
surprisingly a
active.
very active Discord. Like
Yeah, we got some good people in there that are asking questions and answering questions, or users are helping each other out, which is really cool to see. I always love to see that when people are trying to help each other learn.
right.
Um, yeah,
No, I think that's great. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to sit down with me and just talk about Coder and just get to know what the service is like and everything.
absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And I will definitely be following up with this in the near future, especially when you guys roll out like major updates. We'll definitely be taking another look at this all over again.
Awesome. Yeah, I hope you get as excited about it as us.
Yes, I know in about 3 weeks I'm going to be very excited that I have this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That'll be good. No more Discord pasting and
Nope.
copying.
And you can this does Coder have the ability to run a live server like for web page checking, or do you have to like download it separately?
You can, yeah. We have our own proxy server, which is the cdr.co feature.
Okay.
So if you, it's in your sidebar in your IDE. It looks like a little globe.
Okay.
And if you start up a basic server or just any kind of web server on one of those suggested ports, you'll see it open up in the as a connection in the cdr.co browser,
There it
and then you can
is.
actually open that, and then you can copy that link and share it with anybody. So as long as that server's up, that link will be available for use.
Very cool. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Forrest, for sitting down with me today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Hope things go well for Coder. And guys, if you guys like this video, please do like, comment, share, and subscribe. And
Subscribe to all the things.
I've been Arif. This has been Forrest Hoffman with Coder.com. This has been Button Mash Season 1, Episode 8, and we will see all of you next time. Bye.
Bye.